Halloween night. A bone-chilling wind howled, dead leaves swirled like lost souls. In the heart of Hollow Grove Cemetery, a group of friends huddled close, their breath misting in the cold. They came seeking a thrill, a brush with the supernatural. They found something far more terrifying. The old cemetery was a place of shadows and whispers. Twisted trees clawed at the sky, their branches like skeletal fingers. Forgotten tombstones stood crooked, swallowed by overgrown weeds and moss. The air hung heavy with a chilling dampness. This wasn't just any Halloween dare. This was a summoning, a ritual whispered through generations of Hollow Grove teenagers. Tonight, they would tempt fate, call out to the other side and pray they wouldn't regret it. Hollow Grove was a town steeped in darkness. Its streets, once bustling with life, now lay silent, shrouded in an eerie stillness that seemed to echo the town's tragic past. Legends whispered of tragic deaths, unsolved mysteries and restless spirits. The townsfolk spoke in hushed tones about the eerie occurrences that plagued Hollow Grove, tales passed down through generations. The cemetery, they said, was the most haunted place of all. It was a place where the veil between the living and the dead was said to be thinnest, where the past seemed to linger in the air like a heavy fog. Generations of Hollow Grove residents rested beneath the gnarled trees, their stories, etched in stone, told of lives filled with joy, sorrow, and everything in between. Each headstone held a story, a life lived and lost. Some were marked by grand monuments, others by simple stones, but all were a testament to the passage of time and the inevitability of death. Some were peaceful, others filled with sorrow and regret. The air around them seemed to hum with the energy of those who had come before, a silent reminder of the town's haunted history. It was these restless souls the group hoped to contact. They were drawn to the cemetery by a desire to uncover the truth, to connect with the spirits that were said to roam the grounds. The air grew colder as they set down their makeshift altar. The forest around them seemed to close in, the trees whispering secrets of the past as the group prepared for their ritual. Candles flickered, casting dancing shadows. The light seemed to waver, as if the spirits themselves were drawing near, curious about the intruders in their midst. An old ornate Ouija board lay open, its planchette gleaming under the pale moonlight. It was a tool, a gateway to the other side, and the group hoped it would help them make contact. Fear, sharp and cold, pricked at their skin. The anticipation was palpable, a mix of excitement and dread as they prepared to reach out to the unknown. They were playing with fire, they knew. The risks were great, but so was the potential reward, a glimpse into the afterlife, a chance to communicate with those who had passed on. But the allure of the unknown, the thrill of the forbidden, was too strong to resist. They were drawn to it like moths to a flame, unable to turn away from the mysteries that lay just beyond the veil of the living world.
Alright, let's do this.
Leading the group was Jake, the fearless daredevil. He craved the adrenaline rush, the validation of conquering fear. Beside him stood Emily, skeptical yet curious, her logical mind battling the growing unease. There was Ben, the timid one, his eyes darting nervously between the shadows. He relied on his girlfriend, Chloe, the adventurous soul, who saw the thrill in everything, even in the face of potential danger. Tonight, their differences faded. They were united by a shared purpose, a desire to pierce the veil between the living and the dead. They were young, their lives a tapestry yet to be fully woven. They had no idea the darkness they were about to unravel.
Is anyone out there?
Silence. The wind seemed to hold its breath, the rustling leaves falling still. Then, slowly, almost imperceptibly, the planchette began to move. It trembled beneath their fingertips, a living thing.
What's happening?
The planchette glided across the board, stopping on a single chilling word, yes.
Ask it something else.
Ask it its name.
Emily shivered, despite the layers she wore. This felt different, more real than any childish game. A cold dread seeped into her bones. Chloe, however, squeezed Ben's hand reassuringly, her eyes bright with excitement.
Alright, what's your name?
Jake cleared his throat, his earlier confidence wavering. He glanced at his friends, their faces pale in the flickering candlelight. He took a deep breath.
Who are you?
Jake asked, his voice barely a whisper, the words trembling on his lips as if afraid to be spoken aloud. The planchette moved again, slower this time, as if burdened by an unseen weight, dragging across the board with an eerie reluctance. It spelled out a name, letter by chilling letter, each one sending a shiver down their spines. The name hung in the air, a tangible presence that seemed to draw the very warmth from the room.
Elias.
A collective gasp escaped the group, their faces pale with fear and disbelief.
Elias Blackwood.
The name was etched into the oldest headstone in the cemetery, a tale of tragedy and madness that had been whispered through generations. Legend had it that Elias, a powerful sorcerer, had been betrayed by the townsfolk and buried alive, his cries for mercy ignored. His dying curse, they said, haunted Hollow Grove to this day, a shadow that loomed over the town.
This is bad.
Jake whispered, his voice trembling, the weight of their actions pressing down on him.
We need to stop.
But it was too late. They had opened a door, stepped into a realm beyond their understanding, a place where the rules of the living no longer applied. And something on the other side had heard their call, a presence that now stirred, awakened by their curiosity and fear. The air grew colder, the shadows deeper, as if the very darkness was closing in around them. They huddled together, seeking comfort in each other's presence, but knowing deep down that they had crossed a line that could not be uncrossed. The stories they had heard, the warnings they had ignored, all came rushing back, filling their minds with dread. They had ventured into the unknown, and now they had to face the consequences of their actions. The presence drew nearer, its intentions unclear, but its power undeniable. They could feel it, a cold, unyielding force that seemed to reach out from the darkness, wrapping around their hearts. Panic set in, and they knew they had to run, to escape the grasp of whatever they had awakened. But the Grave's response was clear. There was no escape from the curse of Elias Blackwood. A thick fog rolled in, blanketing the cemetery in an eerie silence. The air grew heavy, oppressive. The temperature plummeted, sending a shiver down their spines. They were no longer alone. The fog swirled around them, a cold, spectral embrace. It whispered against their skin, carrying the scent of damp earth and decay. It felt alive, malevolent.
Something's coming.
Sarah whispered, her voice barely audible. She was no longer excited, only afraid. The planchette spun wildly on the board, the pointer whipping around in a frenzied dance. Then it clattered to the ground, spinning endlessly as if possessed. The candles flickered and died, plunging them into darkness. Fear, raw and primal, gripped their hearts. They were trapped, alone in the darkness with something ancient and evil. A guttural growl echoed through the cemetery, sending chills down their spines. The ground beneath them vibrated, a low, ominous hum that seemed to resonate deep within their bones. From the fog, a figure began to emerge. It was tall and skeletal, its limbs unnaturally long and twisted. Empty sockets stared out from beneath a hooded cloak, burning with a cold, malevolent light.
He's real.
Emily breathed, her voice barely a whisper. She couldn't tear her eyes away from the horrifying apparition. The skeletal figure took a step closer, its bony fingers flexing. The air crackled with unseen energy. They could feel its hatred, its rage, directed at them like a physical force.
Run!
Jake screamed, scrambling back from the apparition. Panic seized them. They scrambled to their feet, their hearts pounding in their chests. They stumbled through the darkness, the fog swirling around them, blinding them. The skeletal figure moved with unnatural speed, its skeletal fingers reaching for them, its hollow voice echoing through the cemetery. They could hear the rasp of its breath, the clatter of bones against stone. It was gaining on them, its presence growing stronger with every passing moment. They tripped and stumbled over graves, their fear lending them speed. But the cemetery seemed to stretch on forever, a labyrinth of shadows and terror. They finally broke free of the cemetery gates, bursting onto the deserted road, their lungs burning, their legs screaming for respite. They didn't dare slow down, not even to catch their breath. The fog thinned as they ran, the skeletal figure fading into the darkness, but the terror lingered, a cold sweat clinging to their skin. They didn't stop running until they reached the outskirts of town, collapsing on a deserted street corner, gasping for breath. They looked at each other, their eyes wide with terror, their faces pale in the moonlight. They were alive, for now. The sun rose, painting the sky in hues of pink and orange, a stark contrast to the darkness they had witnessed. But the memory of that night lingered, a chilling reminder of the horrors that lurked beneath the surface of their world. They never spoke of what they had seen, not to each other, not to anyone. But the memory haunted their dreams, a chilling reminder of their brush with the supernatural. Their lives went on, but they were forever changed. The carefree innocence of youth was gone, replaced by a chilling understanding of the darkness that resided in the heart of Hollow Grove. They had tempted fate, and fate had answered.
Years later, I found myself drawn back to Hollow Grove. It was as if an invisible thread had been pulling me back, a thread woven with memories and emotions I couldn't quite shake off. The town held a strange pull on me, a mix of fear and morbid curiosity. Every corner seemed to whisper secrets. Every shadow seemed to hide a story waiting to be uncovered. I stood before the rusted gates of the cemetery, the memories of that night flooding back. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves, a scent that seemed to carry the weight of the past. The fog seemed to linger even in the daylight, a spectral mist that sent a shiver down my spine. It was as if the very essence of Hollow Grove was trying to seep into my bones, to remind me of the things I had tried to forget. I thought I saw a figure standing among the trees, a tall, skeletal figure shrouded in shadows. Its presence was both unsettling and oddly familiar, like a ghost from a half-remembered dream. Or perhaps it was just my imagination playing tricks on me. The mind has a way of conjuring up phantoms when faced with the unknown, and Hollow Grove was a place that thrived on the unknown. I turned and walked away, my heart pounding in my chest. Each step felt heavier than the last, as if the ground itself was trying to hold me back, to keep me from leaving. Some doors, I realized, were better left unopened. Behind them lay truths that were too painful to face, memories that were better left buried. Some spirits, once disturbed, could never be laid to rest. They lingered in the shadows, their whispers carried on the wind, their presence a constant reminder of the past. And Hollow Grove would forever remain a place of shadows and whispers, haunted by the ghosts of its past. It was a place where the line between the living and the dead was blurred, where the past and present coexisted in a delicate, eerie balance.
Thanks for joining us today. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more content like this. We love hearing from you, so drop a comment below and remember to turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Until next time, keep exploring, stay curious, and we'll see you in the next video.